Good evening, and welcome everyone to tonight's hearing, I should say. This is the fourth of 11 virtual budget hearings the city will be hosting this year to introduce the fiscal year 22-23 trial budget. The feedback that we received today and throughout the budget process is extremely important to us as we formulate the proposed budget to present to City Council. The proposed budget will be presented to City Council on May 3rd and voted on May 17th. These hearings will be recorded and streamed on our YouTube channel. For those of you who do not wish to speak today, you can leave a comment at Phoenix.gov/budget. Another way to participate is through the Fund Phoenix interactive budget tool. This interactive tool lets you provide direct feedback on the proposed budget. Now I'll turn it over to Councilman Sal DeCiccio for any opening words to tonight's hearing.
Thank you, Jeff, and I do want to thank you and the city staff that are here today and those members of the public that have come in to weigh in on the budget. At the end of the day, this is a budget that's owned by the public. We make the decisions on that, and I'll walk through some of the priorities, at least that I've got, but here to also listen to what the priorities of what the public has. Jeff, you've been an amazing city manager. Matter of fact, I had a conversation earlier today, and I think the public should be very aware how great we have as a city manager. Jeff Barton has led our budget over the several years, even in times when they were really tough. But he's been able to have a steady hand and put together a budget for the city of Phoenix that covered the issues that the public wanted, but at the same time had a fiscal responsibility foundation built into it. And Jeff has done an amazing job. Matter of fact, I said today that Jeff is going to be our best city manager that we've ever had in the city of Phoenix. And we're very lucky to have him here. And the staff members that are here present, Jeff, if you can relay my appreciation for them being here when they could be with their families tonight. There are going to be a couple issues. I'm going to talk right off the bat of some of the things that I'd like to see done. I believe that you have to always maintain your balance and focus on those things that are your priorities in the city of Phoenix. We are short. I've heard this, and you will hear this in other areas. I've heard it repeatedly in the Ahwatukee Foothills community and in my northern part of my district, the shortage of police officers. We should really be at 3,800. We are now at about 2,700 police officers, and it's impacting our day-to-day life. We're seeing response times go up from 5 minutes to 7 minutes. Someone could be breaking down a door, and unless you're armed yourself, you've got to now wait for somebody to get there for 7 minutes. And that is an eternity when someone is trying to break down your door and get into your home and do whatever they need to do into your house and onto you individuals. So the prioritization of hiring police has to be our number one priority. The anti-police crowd has taken over a big part of City Hall, and they have, through their words, driven out so many police officers where they don't want to work for the city of Phoenix anymore. These are hardworking men and women with families. Their kids do after-school activities. They're involved in our community. These police officers have done everything to protect us. As a community, we have an obligation to protect them for those that have protected us. We really need to focus on our streets as well. Streets, I would say, would be a second priority, along with homelessness, which we've started to address. And with our streets, we've got some areas of Phoenix that have not had their streets redone in over 30 years, and that should be done between 10 and 15 years. So we've got some issues with our streets. Street lighting, especially in other parts of the district, not in mine so much. I've talked to some of the members, especially on the west side, where their lighting is just horrible there, that they would have my vote to help support them putting street lighting and making their communities a lot safer, because that needs to happen. These are all infrastructure issues that need to be done. Now to talk about two things we're going to hear today. I want to address this up front. One, we have a community in Ahwatukee Foothills that would like to see more pickleball courts. And I want to be very clear on this. And people seem to have forgotten how hard I worked to get the pickleball courts there originally, and how hard it was to get them in there because nobody wanted them at one time. But now they're heavily used because we're able to see the writing on the wall. And that was a hard-fought battle. But Ahwatukee Foothills has 42% of all the pickleball courts in the city of Phoenix, 42%. I am committed to repurposing the other courts that are out there for, to have a combination tennis and pickleball in order to see what we need to do to increase the use that we have out there. I think it's fantastic. We've got people using them. I think that's amazing. But at the same time, we've got to balance those needs. The northern part of my district also wants to see pickleball courts. So I'm going to be focusing on both sides of my district and bringing in more pickleball courts. I read the comments that people said, I saw this in the Ahwatukee News, which is a fantastic newspaper, that people thought I lost sight of trying to help them. No, I'm doing that, but at the same time, I've got to be balanced, and I'm going to be fair to both sides. So for those that are here talking about the pickleball courts, I've not forgotten about it, but please remember also that it was the leadership I helped bring to bring us to the level that we are now. We need more. Granted, I agree with that, but we've got to have a balance across the city of Phoenix. The other part deals with the undergrounding of utilities and parts of 54th Street, I believe is right off that area. I am committed to helping that community, especially with some aesthetic funding, to see what we can do to help underground some of those power lines. There are other alternatives that other communities are doing. They're creating special taxing districts in order to fund that. As a whole, it has been left up to neighborhoods to do that. But when someone asks to find a solution, I will help you try to find and come up with a solution that will help your community and your neighborhood. Those are the big issues that, at least that I've identified in the district and in the city of Phoenix. And so I'd like to just turn it back over to staff for a brief presentation on the budget. I think a lot of people have already seen it. People are here to talk about their part of it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Councilman DeCiccio. Before we begin the video, I would like to introduce our interpreter, Ms. Gloria San Miguel.
Thank you. Council City Management, before we begin the video, I would like to introduce, my name is Gloria San Miguel. I will be serving as your interpreter for today's virtual budget audience. I will now introduce myself to our Spanish-speaking audience. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Gloria San Miguel y junto con mi colega Carmen Cota estaremos sirviéndoles hoy como intérpretes en la audiencia virtual del presupuesto operativo. Al momento de hacer un comentario público, de favor les pedimos que hable despacio, con claridad y deténgase después de cada pocas oraciones para interpretarle de la manera más completa posible. Gracias. Ahora les indicaré cómo acceder a la reunión en español. Desde su teléfono, llame al 2485-744-3392 y luego oprima el símbolo de número. Nuevamente, introduzca el símbolo de número cuando se le solicite el número de identificación de asistente. Muchísimas gracias.
Next, we will show the budget video highlighting what is in the fiscal year 22-23 proposed budget. Immediately following the video, we will move to speaker comments.
The City of Phoenix trial budget for fiscal year 2022-2023, proposed by the Phoenix City Manager, is ready for public review and comment. A trial budget is a rough draft of the actual budget, estimating how much money and how it will be used for the next fiscal year. How does Phoenix's annual budget work? The city budget is made up of three parts: the general fund, enterprise funds, and special revenue funds. The general fund is made up of general sales tax, property taxes, revenue distributed by the state from income tax, sales and vehicle taxes, and some fines and fees. The general fund supports many of the services our residents, visitors, and businesses have come to expect in Phoenix libraries, parks, senior and youth programs, and police and fire services. Enterprise funds come from departments that only charge the people who use their services directly, like water and sewer, airlines and passengers at Sky Harbor, and trash and recycling customers. Finally, special revenue funds, earmarked for specific purposes from grants and voter-approved sales taxes dedicated for parks and preserves, transportation, and public safety. That's how Phoenix gets its money. Now, how do we spend it? Phoenix has a long history of public budgeting, giving the community a voice in the future of our city by starting the public involvement much earlier than required. Each year, departments look at what it will take to provide services for the upcoming year, and staff forecast what resources will be available to pay for services. The city manager proposes a trial budget that identifies programs and services that build a better, more inclusive city for all, and will keep the budget balanced. Then we ask for your input at community budget hearings, or by using the Fund Phoenix Interactive Budget tool, or by contacting the city directly to ensure the budget reflects the priorities of our residents and City Council. After receiving your input, the City Council will vote on the budget in May and legally adopt the budget in June each year. The law requires the city's budget to be balanced each year, and this year we are happy to report a projected budget surplus of $76 million. This is thanks to Phoenix's continued strong economy and sound fiscal leadership from the mayor and city council. For fiscal year 2022-23, the proposed general fund trial budget includes $21 million to address important needs raised by the council and community, and $55 million in set-asides that could be used for employee compensation, city council priorities next year or in future years, or if needed, provide for budget flexibility. The $21 million in supplementals for next fiscal year is proposed for City Council and community priority areas, including Focus Area 1, Affordable Housing. $1.5 million is proposed for affordable housing to continue necessary support to low-income residents, such as homelessness prevention and funding for Phoenix Starfish Place, which is dedicated to healing and empowering human trafficking survivors. Focus Area 2, Climate and Sustainability. A proposed $1.3 million to create positions dedicated to climate and sustainability initiatives to achieve the goals of the council-approved Climate Action Plan, and to continue funding for the city's award-winning Cool Pavement program to further help mitigate heat in the city. The funds would also create a position within the city focused on studying the benefits of electric vehicle infrastructure, along with a dedicated Climate Action Plan manager to work toward achieving the goals of the council-approved Climate Action Plan. Focus Area 3, Economic Development, Planning, and Innovation. $1.6 million is proposed to keep Phoenix competitive in the global market. Proposed additions include positions for the Community and Economic Development Department to formalize an international trade program to remain competitive with global markets, enhance marketing opportunities to increase jobs, and resources to target vacant storefronts to create new retail centers. Staffing will also be added to help achieve City Council priority projects, such as transit-oriented development and the Housing Phoenix Plan. Focus Area 4, Historic Preservation and Arts. The city's art collection is in need of refurbishment, and historic buildings need to be protected, which is why the city is proposing $200,000 to invest in historic preservation grants, and to provide increased funding for the Office of Arts and Culture, including arts grants to enhance programming to youth and artists in the community. Focus Area 5, Homelessness, Immigrant, Refugee Support, and Fast Track Cities. $3 million and 17 new positions are proposed to assist the city's growing homeless, immigrant, and refugee populations. The proposed money would help achieve the goals of the council-approved Strategies to Address Homelessness Plan and expand the CARES program that connects individuals to needed services, and a new navigator dedicated to helping immigrants and refugees transitioning into the community, and ongoing funding of $250,000 for the Fast Track Cities initiative. Focus Area 6, Parks and Recreation and Library. To enhance community services, $2.7 million is proposed to the Parks and Recreation Department and the Library Department for enhanced after-school programming at Phoenix after-school centers. Money would also launch a new bookmobile to provide library programming in the Southwest Valley. Focus Area 7, Public Safety and Criminal Justice. $6.3 million is proposed to add more fire sworn personnel to meet minimum staffing requirements. The 19th Avenue Corridor Community Safety and Crime Prevention Plan, and case management support for municipal court to help victims of domestic violence, and new attorney positions for Public Defender's Office for the Veterans and Mental Health Specialty Courts. The proposal also includes using the Phoenix Police Department's existing operating budget to increase the number of civilian positions, allowing sworn personnel to return to the field to respond to calls for service. Focus Area 8, Roadway Safety. Pedestrian and roadway safety is crucial for city streets. $600,000 is proposed to increase annual resources for the City Council-approved Roadway Safety Action Plan. The proposed fiscal year 2022-23 trial budget also includes new positions and needed resources for city enterprise and special revenue funds due to growth and increased demand for services, including additions for aviation, development services, solid waste, transit, and water services. This has been just a taste of what you will find in the 2022-23 City of Phoenix proposed trial budget. More information on the proposed budget is available at our website, Phoenix.gov/budget. We encourage you to use our Fun Phoenix interactive tool to provide input, an interactive budget tool that lets you provide direct feedback on the proposed fiscal year 2022-23 trial budget additions. We hope that you'll review additional details in the budget tabloid, available online at Phoenix.gov/budget. Please share your feedback in whatever way works best for you, at one of the virtual community budget hearings, or by email at budget.research@phoenix.gov. You can comment on the city's social media pages at CityofPhoenixAZ on Facebook or Twitter, and use hashtag PHXBudget, or call us at 602-262-4800. The city manager will present his proposed budget for 2022-23 to the Phoenix City Council on May 3rd, 2022. The council's budget decision will take place on May 17th, 2022. Thank you for being part of this important process. We look forward to hearing your ideas for this year's trial budget and the future of Phoenix.
We will now read the hearing conduct statement and then start calling the names of the speakers. Members of the public may speak for up to 2 minutes to comment on the proposed budget. The City Code requires speakers to present their comments in a respectful and courteous manner. Profane language, threats, or personal attacks on members of the public, council members, or staff are not allowed. A person who violates these rules will lose the opportunity to continue to speak. The City Council and staff cannot discuss or comment on matters related to pending claims or litigation. Our first speaker is Jill Ostendorp, followed by Deborah Radway. Jill, are you on the line?
I am. Thank you.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Councilman DeCiccio and other honorable members. First off, I would like to thank District 6 and CEL for their quick response over the many years my family has lived in the Ahwatukee area, participated in the PAC program, and also played sports. They have always been very responsive and attentive to the needs of the area. I was not part of the original effort at Pecos to add pickleball courts, as my family and I started playing during COVID. My name is Jill Ostendorp, and I'm speaking on behalf of Pickleball at Desert Foothills Park. We have collected a list of over 840 people, 76% that live within a 3-mile radius of the park, that would like to see at least 8 dedicated pickleball courts and a parking lot added to the community. And as Elle mentioned, as an interim solution, the resurfacing and relining of the underutilized and poorly maintained tennis courts. Pickleball has grown 39.3% in the last 2 years and is a safe, inclusive, and great both for physical and mental health. We're asking the Parks Department to consider funding for this area, as Tempe, Gilbert, and Chandler are doing the same, trying to get ahead of the curve. The Parks Department has stated that they would not be supportive of an effort, as we have 16 courts at Pecos Park, which we are grateful for, but they are very crowded and often wait times are longer than 30 minutes in between games. Steve Manolis, a founding member and an instructor at Pecos, estimates between 40 and 60% of the people playing aren't even from Ahwatukee, largely in part because of the proximity to major freeways. The area of Desert Foothills Park we are suggesting to use is a large gravel area that is used for illegal dumping and criminal activity. It is bordered by major roads and very few homes, which make it ideal. Plus, there are 5 schools in less than a 1-mile radius, which means kids and families can bike and walk there. The Foothills has the most new housing projects and an additional 1,000 homes being added this coming year in the district. We feel between impact fees and having one of the largest tax revenue bases in the city, this project can and should be easily funded.
Jeff?
Councilman?
Oh, you can call me Sal, that's okay. And I appreciate the formality part of it. But one of the things that she did bring up was the impact fees. I know we'll be collecting more impact fees when that new area goes pretty much online from Blandford Homes. Could we check and see what amount of monies we have in there? Not obviously, it's not something you have off the top of your head, but the pickleball courts are just growing in popularity. I remember when we first opened it, I really knew very little about it. I still haven't played it. I've got to tell everyone, I just haven't played it yet. I don't know if I lack those kind of coordination, but if we could look at that, the other part of it, and again, you don't have to answer tonight because I just thought about it too. What Jill talked about, everybody from outside of our community using it. Is there a way we can give first priority to city people that live within the city of Phoenix, that they have the first priority on these courts? If they were to call ahead of time, they would just naturally get bumped up ahead, or if there was a way to do that type of reservation. Again, if we could look into that, I'd sure appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
Councilman, I'll have Amber Williamson and her team work with Cynthia Aguilar and Parks to get some answers on that for you.
Our next speaker is Deborah Radway, followed by Dan Fanger. Deborah, are you on the line? Deborah is not on the line. Our next speaker is Dan Fanger, followed by Stacy Garlabe. Dan, are you on the line?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now?
Proceed. Yes.
Oh, hey, great. My name is Dan Fanger, and I live in the Ahwatukee Foothills area, right off Desert Foothills Parkway, up next to Telegraph Paths. And I'm speaking on behalf of the pickleball group for Desert Foothills Parkway. I started playing about 6 months ago. I started playing at Pecos. And I hear, like, Sal, you've never played before. Maybe we should go out and play a game. Just contact me if you want. But what you'll find out at Pecos is it's hard to get in. The place is packed. There's 16 courts there. And a few months ago, I started going over to Tempe, which is even further, because it's easier to get into play in the Tempe court district. But it's a growing area. We tried to play the pickleball at Desert Foothills on the tennis courts, but half the lights didn't work there, and the fence screen is up on the lower part, so your balls roll right off the courts. So it's poorly maintained. I'm not sure if you guys can look into that, the maintenance part of it, but it's pretty sad. Anyway, I hope you guys allocate some money for about 8 courts down in the foothills here. There's plenty of room. The courts The park is big enough, and I think a lot of people would like to play. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Stacy Garlieb, followed by Mark Garlieb. Stacy, are you on the line?
I am.
You may
Thank
proceed.
You. Okay, thank you. Councilman DeCiccio, thank you so much for recognizing our proposal that we have submitted to Salt River Project as well as Cox and CenturyLink to provide our neighborhood an underground conversion area status. So,
Excuse me, Stacy. If you're connected on two devices, can you mute one of them?
yes, I apologize.
Thank you. Please continue.
Okay.
Stacy, you may proceed.
Okay, thank you. So, did that work?
Can you turn the volume down on your device?
Yeah.
You might have
I'm
two
very
phones
sorry.
going,
So,
Stacy.
hopefully it's
That's
clear
okay.
now. So, Councilman, thank you so much for acknowledging our submission to the public utilities. We submitted our petition representing 21 homes on 54th Court and 54th Place 10 days ago. So the clock is ticking for the utilities to get us our cost estimate per property for the actual conversion project. I am acting as a project manager on behalf of our two streets. We do not have an HOA. So it's basically, as you mentioned, a neighborhood-driven project, and greatly appreciate the assistance and direction that you can provide and your office can provide on how we can source funding to not only aesthetically improve our properties, but also increase the safety of our properties, as these power lines do provide a safety risk to all of our homes. Thank you so much, and thank you also to City Manager Barton for the time to speak today.
And Jeff, thank you, Stacy. Can we, I believe we have someone from Streets here that can address this, at least give us an overview with the aesthetic funding and how this works. So, and I know how it is, but I'd like to be able to talk to the public about it as well. Thanks, Jeff.
We do.
Good evening, Councilman DeCiccio and members of the public. My name is Lori Smith, and I am a Deputy Street Transportation Director. The city currently does not have a dedicated funding source or program to proactively underground power lines along the city streets or in public alleys. The Street Transportation Department does evaluate the feasibility of undergrounding power lines as part of our major street improvement projects. Power lines within the city are typically owned and operated by either Salt River Project or Arizona Public Service, and it is the greater likelihood that power lines would be undergrounded as part of a major street improvement project in a Salt River Project improvement area. This is due to SRP's aesthetics program, which includes funding to municipalities for projects involving its canals, drainage ways, and power lines. So under state law, residents, businesses, homeowners associations, and other entities are able to seek the formation of an underground conversion district, which is a form of an improvement district. And this is detailed in Arizona Revised Statute Title 40. And SRP did put together a step-by-step pamphlet outlining the instructions to follow in order to form an underground conversion district. And the Street Transportation Department would be happy to meet with these homeowners to discuss this further.
I would appreciate meeting with them, but I'd also, could I, we have some road improvement projects going on, and I believe it's right next to them where they're going to be. And I understand the fact of this, because this is what we've always done, is that we always put it in line with whatever's going on with the roads around there. But I believe this was one of the areas that was targeted to have their streets redone. I don't know if it fits the category of major, but could we take a look and see, one, where those improvements are going to be in those neighborhoods, and whether or not we can find a way to align some of the aesthetic funding with this area. I mean, I know we've got 2 other areas in the district that are looking for it. But I'd like to see, when people put in a request, I believe that it always naturally moves up to the top of the line, just because they've had enough fortitude to be able to come forward and say this is what they want to see done in their area. And I realize funding is limited, but these individuals have tried to move the ball forward, and I believe that they should, at the very least, get some level of support from us. Maybe, when we check and see what happens with the streets in that area. Thank you, Jeff.
Councilman, this is Mario Paniagua, Deputy City Manager. I
Hi,
appreciate your comments, and we will absolutely take a look at the projects in that area and take a look at the aesthetics funds, as well as explore any other options that could be available potentially. And again, just piggybacking off of what Lori said and what you said earlier, staff is happy to support any meeting and facilitate any discussions further with the community to continue to look at what options are available to them.
And thank you. And I'd like you to also take into consideration, and I know we've got other neighborhoods that have asked for it, but this neighborhood has really pushed pretty hard, and that generally means that they have a strong interest in there. Not that others don't, but when people do push and want to see things done, I think at the very least we should really try to find a way to move them up or find every possible way of helping them get done what they'd like to see done in their community. Thank you, Mario. I didn't realize you were there. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mark Garlieb, followed by Michael Wilmink. Mark, are you on the line?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, and you may proceed.
Yeah, first of all, Councilman DeCiccio, I greatly appreciate your support. I'm Stacy's husband. She already spoke, but I've been a homeowner here for over 20 years. There is some aesthetic benefit of burying the power lines, but beyond that, there are safety issues. SRP's constantly going and having to cut trees back because of the power lines, and our power goes out constantly during monsoon season. So it isn't just an aesthetic situation. It's something that needs to be done, and we have a group of homeowners on our street. I've talked to personally every one of them, and I can't tell you 100% are in support, but a great percentage of them are in support of getting this done, and we just appreciate any support you can give us to make this go as quickly as possible and not get caught up in some kind of bureaucratic delay. So anyway, thanks again for your support, and thanks for listening.
Our next speaker is Michael Wilmink, followed by Stephen Levitt. Michael, are you on the line?
I am, yes, thank you.
You may proceed.
Okay, thank you. I would like to thank the entire council for taking the time to address our request. Again, I'd like to echo the safety aspect of, the power goes out frequently behind our house. We have a irrigation water system that feeds the canals, and it's quite frightful to think about those lines coming down and getting tangled in the water there. In addition, we have a large number of owls in our neighborhood, and unfortunately we see them quite often perched on the wires, and that just kind of sticks out, and I'd like to make sure they were a little bit more safe and back in the trees where they belong. And I just would like to thank you guys for taking the time to address this issue, and look forward to hopefully moving this along as a successful project for the betterment of Phoenix.
Our next speaker is Stephen Levitt, followed by April Jones. Stephen, are you on the line? Stephen is not on the line. Our next speaker is April Jones, followed by Justin Santamaria. April, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
We can hear you and you may proceed.
Okay, thank you for your time, Council. I appreciate it. I want to echo the same comments that Mike Wilmink and Stacy and her husband both stated. We live on the alley. There are a lot of wires. There's a lot of animals back there. There's the water, the Bugis water irrigation that's right next to our house. And with the power going down and out, that can be an issue. We also have seen one of the silver, power converter catch on fire one night at our house, and they had to come in and all of the electricity was out for a night. So I would just like to echo that we would like to get this done as quickly as possible. We are willing to work and do whatever we can, and any additional support that you guys are willing to give us, we're here to help you and work with you. So I appreciate you letting us speak tonight.
Our next speaker is Justin Santamaria, followed by Marissa Leva. Justin, are you on the line?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, and you may proceed.
Thank you. I am reaching out because I'm hoping that we can have some budgets allocated towards the GAP program, the Gated Alleyway program pilot. I live at 46 and Thomas area, and the alley behind my house is continually having issues with graffiti, vandalism, people using drugs, illegal dumping, home abandonments, parts, and people even rummaging through our trash. My fiance does not feel very safe when people are constantly in and out of our alleyways. And I feel confident that if the funding is allocated, that it will actually save the city money in the long run to not come out for these calls. So thank you guys very much for your time.
Justin, this is Sal, the CCO. I fully support what you're trying to do. Matter of fact, this was an idea that was brought forward by Betty Guardado, Councilwoman Betty Guardado. And I've told her already, she and I had a conversation, I would say probably 2 weeks ago, about the need for this. It's not just in our community, but it's in other areas. And it is clearly a safety issue of what's happening in our streets right now. We've got individuals that are camping out in alleys, and that's a fact. That is happening, and they're using that as their private bathroom and other things that are going on. So you have my commitment to see if we did a trial run, I think about, what was it, last year, Jeff? I can't remember, but it proved to be very successful. And I'll be looking to fund more into that program this year.
Councilman, you are correct. We've got money in this year's budget to do the Gated Alley program, and so we'll talk to you some more offline about that after this hearing.
Thank you for that, Jeff.
Our next speaker is Janie Ledyard, followed by Max Clark. Janie, are you on the line?
I am. Yes.
You may proceed.
Oh, I'd like to thank the City Council and especially Sal DeCiccio for being such an advocate for our area, for his service to our city and our neighborhood. I also support the burying of the power lines. We have regularly lost power. Last year, we lost power and lost everything in our refrigerator as well as our freezer because they couldn't restore power for over 6 hours. Every single time it rains, our internet goes out as well. I know that Cox and everyone would be wrapped into the burying of the lines as well. So many safety issues. Our friends actually just had their poles burst into flame. Luckily, they were able to put it out before it caught their house on fire and just burned all their oleanders. And so not only obviously aesthetically, but I do feel like it would be a safety issue, especially in this area as well, as they keep stringing more and more and more wires. I think I counted yesterday that we have 10 in our yard alone. So thank you for putting us on your kind of radar, and we look forward to working with you.
I'm going to go by and take a look tomorrow. I'll drive by. I've got a couple of meetings in the Arcadia area. So I'll go take a look. I used to live down the street from there, so I know the area pretty well. I don't remember seeing 10 lines, but what you described is scary. The fact that you could have a line go into a pool like that, very concerning, especially with families and kids that we have in this community. So I'll take a look at it myself tomorrow.
Our next speaker is Max Clark, followed by Candace Norman. Max, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, you may proceed.
Councilman DeCiccio, thank you for recently participating in the City Council vote to reduce car crashes and collisions in Phoenix. This strong statement demonstrates the Council's leadership and commitment to the safety of Phoenix Road users. This ordinance is important for people who walk, take transit, ride bicycles, drive cars, trucks, and motorcycles, and want to do this safely. And congratulations to the pickleball players who are likely to see increased funding for their sport because they are consistently present at these budget hearings. I only hope the city manager and the city council feel similarly strongly to prevent car crashes in Phoenix, to build safer infrastructure and enforcement starting this year on July 1st. Nearby in District 6, the town of Paradise Valley has a red light running camera and automated speed limit enforcement programs. If Paradise Valley can do this, then Phoenix can too. I ask you that to modify the trial budget to invest $5 per city resident to ensure the safety of all road users in Phoenix. This is approximately $9 million. In each year, for the last 10 years, about 2,500 to 3,000 car, truck, and motorcycle crashes happened in Council District 6. These collisions have resulted in 1,200 to 1,500 injuries and about 5 to 15 fatalities in Council District 6. I hope these numbers concern you and the city manager as much as they concern me. The budget department and city manager have specifically suggested that $32 million could be used to provide new programs and services in council priority and community priority areas. So what greater priority does city council members have than to ensure the safety of its citizens? This is certainly a priority for me and my community. Every collision in District 6 happens to someone who is not intending to crash that day and believe they would be safe on streets in District 6. But the streets in District 6 have not been designed for safety. They've been designed for speed. Current traffic signal timing practices encourage speeding. Please change signal timing so that there is equal time for travel in all directions at all signals. Please prioritize people walking and recreating on the weekends so that if they push the button, they don't have to wait to cross the street. Then on Monday, you can go back to prioritizing cars and trucks. Please bring back red light cameras and speeding cameras. They work so great at other intersections, became problematic, and the council failed to add cameras to these newly identified.
That was our final speaker.
Well, Councilman, that was our final speaker of the evening. I want to thank everyone for participating, but also give you an opportunity to have any closing remarks that you may.
I just want to thank everyone for showing up today and participating in this budget. We heard you loud and clear. We've started working on these issues, many of these already, and I think that's why it's kind of important just to let us know ahead of time so we could be prepared to answer your questions. Again, I want to emphasize this. The city of Phoenix is in a very bad position when it comes to police officers. We have the fewest police officers per capita that we've had in, I think, ever in the city of Phoenix, and it's only getting worse. Our response times are getting higher. We've got a situation in the city of Phoenix where we are unsafe. And if the rhetoric doesn't stop attacking these police officers and their families, because that's what's happening, it's their families that wear the burden of this, we are going to be extremely unsafe. This is our number one priority in the city of Phoenix right now. The lack of police coverage, the lack of response times, the amount of response, our response time being as high as they are right now. As I was speaking right now, I got a note from an individual who was on 46th Street and McDowell. He said there was an individual passed out in a car. He was trying to get a police officer there. 20 minutes he tried to call through the Crime Stopper line. 20 minutes he had to wait, and it was almost a lifetime before somebody showed up, just because everybody, every single officer was on another call. This is unacceptable. I don't find it as a place that I want to see as the city of Phoenix, as great as it is, and as much as I love our community. We have got to focus on this. And one of the things in the budget I'd like to see, and Jeff's heard me say this, I'd like to see more money to go toward retention. We have to do this as a temporary move, but we have got to stop the attrition as quickly as possible because we are getting extremely unsafe. I know staff wants to do everything they can, but the recent rhetoric that we've seen in the city from individuals has led to this. They don't feel loved. They don't feel appreciated for the $55,000 or $57,000 a year that they make. It's not enough. Okay, just isn't enough. I want to thank everybody for everything that they've done in our community. It's because our community is surrounded by individuals who care. And I think it's a positive thing when people say they want aesthetic funding. They want pickleball courts. It means people care about their community. I see that as a positive. I like to see people come to these meetings because it means people are involved. They're active. They want to see changes occur that are positive for them and their families. And I want to thank everyone for showing today. Jeff, if you could express my thanks to all the staff that are here when they could be with their families, and to you especially, Jeff. Thank you, everybody.
Councilman, I want to thank you for your kind words, and I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. That concludes our hearing. Have a good evening.
Product, that was good according to city standards. There are standard security processes with Apple and Google that apply to this, just like any other app, and city takes the security piece for the residents very seriously. We do not store information or track any information. It's all encrypted and password protected, so the residents can be rest assured that their information is safe.
The app is so easy. I downloaded it and I checked when my bulk trash is going to be picked up. Boom, boom, boom. Oh my goodness, it's coming this week.